All right, thanks for joining me. We are going to start with a little bit of a spine warm up, kind of warm the shoulders up a little bit, go through some stretches, and then we'll go through a couple challenging sequences and then a new pose to kind of mess around with and play with. As always, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it, but definitely tap into what that, if you're in a stretch, for example, like, is that a good sensation? Is that like, what is the quality? Where is it coming from? Is it acutely painful or is it just uncomfortable? And kind of finding a balance between discomfort is okay, but we don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to end up really, really sore tomorrow. So finding a balance between those two. So we will start with just sitting in a chair. As you can see, these are just my dining room chairs. But make sure they're on a nice, flat, stable surface. You're not going to wiggle out of them or anything. I made sure that these are pretty stable. But we're just going to start feet planted on the ground, making sure that you're really feeling, the ground, the mat, if you're on carpet, tapping into how that feels on your toes, taking a minute to kind of sink into that, really, lift the toes, plant them back down, making sure that we're really nice and grounded. And then moving up to the seat, feeling both of those sit bones. How does that seat feel? Is it squishy? Is it hard? What kind of chair are you on? Just taking a moment to really ground into your seat, find a little bit of a center, take a moment to take a few big, deep breaths. You can plant your hands flat on your thighs. You can also have them facing up. You could be in a prayer pose, whatever feels great. We're big on intuitive movement here, so making sure that you're exploring the different movements, you're seeing what feels good, how does it feel, if it feels bad, why does it feel bad, or if it even does feel bad, if it's just uncomfortable. So taking a few moments to really center in. We're going to start with just a few side bends. So you can plant your hand on the side of the chair for a little bit of stability, and then just reaching up and over, stretching to the side. We want to think about really feeling a little bit of a stretch through the side body, into the pelvis maybe a little bit. And then exhale, coming back to neutral. Inhale, doing the other side. And exhale. I'm going to do that back and forth a few times. Inhaling into the stretch and exhaling back down to neutral. Moving to the other side with a big inhale and exhale. We'll do that one more time. Inhale into a big side stretch and exhale back to neutral. Last one. Inhaling to the side and exhaling back to neutral. We want to think about when we're in these positions that we're really sitting grounded, feet are grounded, seat is grounded, and we're really connecting the breath to the movement. Next, we'll move into a few cat-cows, so placing the hands on the thighs or the knees and arching them back and looking up at the ceiling, and then exhaling and releasing into cat, tucking the chin, rolling the shoulders. I'll show this from the side as well. So we're moving in, tilting this pelvis and this low back, looking up to the ceiling, and then rolling forward, tucking the chin. Almost like you're hugging a ball, kind of rounding through, finding some good stretch. And so we'll move through a few of these cat-cows. Looking up at the ceiling, and exhale, chin to chest. Last one. Looking up and rounding forward and coming back to neutral. kind of moving those shoulders around, shaking it out. We might kind of move side to side. We're starting to kind of get that spine to warm up and wake up. Next, we're going to move into a goddess pose. So we're going to have our legs spread just on, if you have a mat or an imaginary mat, just taking those legs out to the side. Feet are at a 45-degree angle. And then we want to put these arms up like cactuses. In this position, we want to make sure that this back is nice and neutral and flat through here. And in this goddess pose, we're going to press the arms together and then open them back up, pressing them in together, opening them up. We'll do this a few more times. In this position, we want to really think about only moving the shoulders. We're really isolating that, getting those muscles to warm up. Last one, we're going to open them up. We're going to stretch up to the ceiling. And we're going to hinge forward into a wide-legged forward fold. Here, we can either have the hands on the knees if that feels more supported, or we can have the hands all the way down to the floor. And we'll just kind of let ourselves hang out here for a moment, kind of let gravity do what it's going to do. Really pressing these feet into the floor. And kind of taking a minute to do some inventory, figuring out, okay, I feel a sensation in my hip. My left quad feels kind of goofy. Oh, I feel that in my low back. And not doing, just taking inventory, seeing how everything feels. And then we'll come all the way back up, reaching up to the sky, releasing the hands down to the knees. Here we're going to get a little bit of a twist. So we're going to take this shoulder and press it to the opposite knee, like so. We want to stretch this outside arm and then come back up to neutral and do the same thing, shoulder to opposite knee. I'll do that 2 more times. When we come forward like this, we don't want to dump all of our weight into the toes. We want to really think about grounding through the whole foot, making sure that the heel and the toes and the ball of the feet all have equal pressure here. Next, we'll bring the hands together. We'll bring the feet together, and we're going to move into a forward fold again. And again, taking a moment, just resting the chest on the thighs. The hands can be flat on the mat. They can grab behind your cuffs. You can even place your hands under your feet for a little bit of feedback there, a little hand massage. And we just want to let the head just hang there, let gravity do its thing, really sit deep into this stretch. And again, taking inventory. How do I feel? What kind of sensations are arising? And not looking at them as good or bad, but just acknowledging, oh, I feel something. I kind of feel something in my hip. Oh, I kind of feel something in my spine. And just taking a little bit of an inventory, just being aware of it. We're going to come all the way up, stretch our arms. And here we're going to go into a twist. So we're going to take one arm and place it to the opposite knee and press down into, our goal is to have a nice stretch through here. What we want to do is make sure that when we're in this stretch, this spine is staying nice and long. So if somebody had a string on your head, you're pulling it forward, so that way we're staying long. We are looking for a stretch. And so if this feels good, do it, as long as it feels good. And you can press deeper into it for a little bit more of a stretch. We also don't want to forget about this top hand. We want to think about taking the gaze and looking at the hand, playing with Okay, it feels better if I put it forward a little bit or backwards. We just want to play with some of this movement and find spots that feel good. And again, just take inventory. And then we'll reach, come out of this twist, reach this arm back up to the top, and do the other side. Pressing into that knee with the opposite arm, gazing up at that hand in the sky. Taking a few deep breaths here. Maybe playing with the placement of that arm a little bit, seeing what feels good, what kind of sensations, and releasing back up. We'll take a quick forward fold. And then releasing back up. I'm gonna roll those wrists out a little bit, shake it out. We've kind of woken the spine and the shoulders up a little bit. Next, we're going to move into either a camel pose or a fish pose, whichever feels best. They're a little bit different, but we'll go through both of them. So camel pose, we want to have our feet kind of hip width apart and really grounded into the mat. And we'll take our hands and place them just at the top of our pelvis, kind of the top of your butt cheeks a little bit, low back. We're going to press into our low back and balance on ourselves, really thinking about opening the chest, looking up to the sky. I'll show you from the side as well. Nice and balanced and grounded, hands pressed in the low back here. And looking up, we want to think about raising the chest, lengthening the spine. You'll feel it kind of through the front of your neck here, on the sides. We'll take a few deep breaths here. Here we'll figure out a little bit of balancing on ourselves. So we're balancing on these hands back here and through our seat. But we don't want to be leaning back too much that our feet come off. We want to keep our feet nice and grounded and planted. And kind of relax, release back to neutral. Now for a fish position, we'll be in a very similar spot here, but we want to have the toes pointed, whether they are pointed straight down or we're just placing on our toes kind of at a bit of a 90-degree angle. And similar to camel, we're going to be opening through the chest and looking up, but instead of placing our hands on our backside, they'll just be out to the side. We're really thinking about lifting, stretching, and balancing through this space. And again, I'll show you from this side too. Toes are pointed, lifting up, lifting that chest, arms out behind us. If it feels good, you can also grab your hands together behind your back. And holding here for a few moments. Releasing back to a neutral position. This fish pose is great to really tap into some of that balance, really challenging our brains that, nope, we are safe, we're balanced, we're strong. And camel pose too is a great way to balance on ourselves. Next, we're going to move into just kind of a transitional. We'll move from bear to rabbit. So we want to be nice and stable in the chair. In bear, we're going to stretch the arms out, move into essentially a half fold. And then to move into rabbit, we'll sweep the arms behind us, grabbing onto the back of the chair and tucking our chin, raising and arching that back. So again, we'll be hands to the ceiling, moving into a half forward fold for bear, and then sweeping the arms back, grabbing that chair, tucking the chin, and really arching through into rabbit. So we'll move between these positions, thinking about being nice and smooth as if we were dancers, just kind of floating across the table, or I'm sorry, floating across a dance floor. This is a great kind of wake you up in the morning, kind of warming everything up. We'll rise all the way back up, hands to the side, shake it out, maybe stretch the legs out in front of us, give them a little wiggle wiggle. Next, we're going to move into a little bit of a kind of a warrior sequence. And so we're going to move to the side of our chair. So we'll have one leg and one butt cheek on the chair. Again, make sure that you have a nice stable chair. And here, what we're going to do is grab the outside of the chair and then grab either the ankle, the foot, the shin, and then just moving into a nice deep quad stretch. So this is half hero. And here we want to stay nice and stable on this side. As you can see, I'm quite literally holding myself up. And then finding a nice good stretch, and I'll show you from the side as well. Again, nice and stable, grabbing the ankle, and moving into a nice deep quad stretch. We might feel it in the knee or the hip flexors. I'm thinking about moving this pelvis a little bit to find a nice neutral position. We tend to blow this way. We want to stay nice and neutral here. And then bringing this hand to foot. And then we'll release that leg and send it all the way back, staying nice and stable, turning this back leg to a 45-degree angle, raising the arms, and then hinging forward for a side angle. In this position, we can bring the arm all the way forward, really stretching through this side body, keeping that spine nice and long, grounding this hand onto the floor. You can also place it on your knee or elbow to knee here for a little bit more support. And big inhale, windmill the arms into warrior two. Staying nice and strong, and then moving into a reverse warrior. And then windmilling the arms all the way back around to meet in this side angle. And then coming back up to neutral. Bringing this leg forward. And resetting, and we'll do the other side. So again, one cheek on, one cheek off, making sure that we're staying nice and stable through this grounded leg. Grabbing onto the chair, and the foot or the ankle, the shin, whatever feels best. If this feels too tight, just place the leg on the ground, and you can move it forward and back to find a nice stretch through here. And you can lean a little bit into it to find a little bit more of a stretch if that feels good. And really sink into that, finding some strength. It's also a great stretch through this front shoulder if we're keeping this arm back. This is a great spot to start pulling the leg forward and back. You can kind of lean into it and still get a really great quad stretch here. And then we'll release, sending that leg back. You might have to scoot to the edge a little bit more. Back foot, 45-degree angle. Big inhale, hands up. We're framing the face here. And then taking that outside arm, inside knee, looking for a nice big stretch, keeping that spine nice and long. Windmill the arms up into warrior two. Inhale to reverse warrior. Windmilling all the way back into the side angle. And releasing back to a neutral position. Nice job. We're going to move into kind of our challenge poses of the week. The first one is called Firefly. And so we want to sit somewhere in the middle of our chair. We don't want to be right on the edge, but we don't want to be all the way back either. We want to be somewhere in the middle. We want to make sure that we have enough room to be able to grab onto the chair here. And so what we're going to do is similar to this goddess pose. We're going to have the legs out in a V, and then we're going to point the toes. If that feels too crunchy, just think about having a nice straight line. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a yoga practice, not a yoga perfect. And our goal here is we're going to ground our hands through the chair here. We're going to have the legs nice and straight. We're going to lift the toes all the way up. We might do one leg and then the other. When we're in this position, we really want to think about control, that we're not just throwing a leg up and it pops back down. If we go this high, perfect. We want to make sure that we're staying grounded and the movement is confident and controlled. You can do both legs. You can see how long you can hold it. Maybe it's for 2 seconds and then push for 3 and release to the floor. You can do one leg at a time. When we're here, when we're in these raised positions, we want to make sure that we're staying nice and stable and strong through this low back. We're not lifting the leg because we can lean back. We want to make sure that this leg is coming nice and straight, and this back is nice and strong and neutral, and our core is nice and strong, and we're just isolating that movement. So if we can come this high, but then if we want to go any higher, we blow backwards, and we're going to get really strong here. And then as we get stronger, we can lift the leg higher and higher. Again, we want strength and confidence, lots of control. So that's Firefly. Our next kind of series of poses is hand to big toe, which is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to take same hand, same side leg, and we're going to reach for this foot. Our goal is to grab the toe, the big toe, with the thumb and the forefinger. However, if it feels better to just grab the whole foot, which is exactly what I do. This hand is goofy. We're going to bring it in and we're going to think about pressing all the way out. And again, in these positions, we want to make sure that we're nice and grounded through the leg that we're not necessarily using. We're actually using this leg a lot because it's keeping us nice and strong and stable and grounded. And so we want to keep this leg nice and stable, nice and strong. If we only get to here, perfect. Then that's what we're doing. Nice, again, strong, stable, confident. And then slowly working for this stretch further out. And again, when we're in this position, we want to make sure nice and grounded, grabbing this. We don't want to be grabbing our foot. We want to stay nice and strong, nice and neutral, paying really close attention to this core, keeping our back nice and strong, and reaching for this foot and pressing out, keeping this back nice and neutral. And a few variations of this position. Again, staying nice and grounded, reaching for the foot. We can stay straight out like this. We can also move to the side. For a little bit of counterbalance, we can have this arm out to the side. So this would be a revolved version. And again, I catch myself doing it. We want to make sure that this leg stays nice and grounded. We're not cocking a knee out or anything. It's great for balance, great for some confidence. We can also do a revolved. So we'll take hand to opposite foot, pressing out, and then bringing this arm and looking back behind us. I'll show you that from the side. Grounding, opposite hand, opposite foot, pressing out, and then this arm goes nice and out. We're looking for a little bit of a spinal twist. So there are a lot of different versions for this. And to get to, if this feels like, oh man, there's no way I could do that, you can, I promise. What we'll do is we're just going to move our chair to like a wall, anything like that, making sure, again, chair is nice and stable. And we're going to practice bringing our foot up to the wall. And we can kind of sit, we can play with it a little bit more, but bringing that foot to the wall and then touching the foot, grabbing the foot. So you have a little bit more stability here and kind of learning like, oh, I can do this movement. And so when we're here, practicing to pull that foot off of the wall a little bit or moving it back and forth. And eventually we'll be able to move off of the wall, but it gives us that little extra support, a little encouragement, and that little extra bit of safety to feel like, okay, I have this, I can do this. I'm going to do it with this wall helping me, and then I'll eventually be able to do it without the wall. So those are the poses that we've got kind of put together. I'll go through them real quick again. But again, always pause the video at any point, reach out with questions, anything like that. So we'll start with a nice big side bend. Going to the other side. And we'll go through some cat-cows. Forward folds. We'll move into a goddess pose. We'll move into a goddess twist. Back into a forward fold. Then we'll do a forward fold with a twist. And we'll do a camel. Moving into fish. And we'll move into a bear. Pressing into rabbit. Up to a neutral position, fanning the arms, scooting to one side of the chair for half warrior. Releasing that back leg, foot at a 45, framing the face and moving into a side angle here. Fanning the arms back for warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Fanning all the way back forward. Coming up to a neutral and switching sides. Half warrior, Releasing the foot back. Pressing through, 45. Framing the face. Moving into a side angle. Fanning the arms into a warrior two. Reverse warrior. Again, fanning all the way back into a side angle. Coming back up. Releasing back to this neutral position. We might do a few bears to rabbits. To kind of reset here. Next, we'll move into firefly. Coming forward, spreading the legs a little bit. Grounding onto this chair. Raising. Finding some strength, maybe doing one or the other. And then finally playing with some hand to toe. Either straight in front of you, revolved, or, I'm sorry, this is revolved. Here we go. And then at the end of the practice, to make sure that we're kind of coming back to earth, give it a little shaky shake, move things around, recenter, and smile that you just did a pretty awesome bit of yoga. Thank you guys so much. I so appreciate it.